had been warring with the Muslims and how they could gain their freedom. And I know we know the story. So I'm reminding us of the importance of it as I wrap up this piece this first Sunday. By first of all citing an observation that I had made, and I did say this before here, but there may be some that did not hear me say it the first time. I was teaching at the University of Chicago here in Chicago, a course for individuals working on their master's degree. And the focus of the course I was teaching was social justice, buzzwords that some entities put together and said, hey, we want to make this a course. So in teaching this particular course, I did a little research on, because teaching master's level students at a school such as that, they want you to have scholarly journal pieces that you can use to others to have discussions about and, you know, and science up on, as we used to do in the first. And as I'm researching and I'm trying to find examples of articles, I came across one written by a professor overseas in Europe. And his piece, he talked about the first social justice program in the United States of America, an educational program that implemented social justice in the United States of America. And now people are getting degrees in this. But he cited one school that actually started the whole trend here in the United States, not other countries, but here. And it was the Mohammed University of Islam on 53rd and Greenwood. And he cited that. He said, Hyde Park, Chicago, gave the name of the school, gave a little history of the school. I didn't know I was going to be a part of history when I was a student there. I did not know that. We were there because our parents made us go there. Okay. But we also recognized the benefit of it. As we grew up and we started interacting with people on our blocks, as we started moving off to college, we realized the importance of the education that we were given. And we realized the sacrifice of those who had sacrificed to get us that school. Our own leader, Imam Deen Mohammed, was one of the first ones to come through the complete school. His mother established the school partially because of him and her children. Here in Chicago, she made it a point to make sure that her children were educated, as well as many others. And there were many pioneers who did the same thing. Some are still with us today. They made the sacrifice so that we would have a great beginning. And I don't have enough fingers and toes to count the people that I personally know who benefited from that program, so much so that they became makers and shakers of the world. Makers and shakers of the world. How many of you drink water here in the city of Chicago or any place nearby? The head chemist of the filtration plant. She's the one who actually decides if the water is the right quality to come out into our homes based off of what she's offered, and she helps to make different changes to make it even better than the stuff that she was given. She works her behind off to make sure that our water is as safe as it can be. Is a graduate of that school. She graduated from that school, and she's the head chemist in charge of water coming through the city of Chicago. There's an anesthesiologist. Her mother worked in the schools in New York, came here, was our secretary, then she became a typing teacher, taught us business, and now her daughter is an anesthesiologist, raising her children here in the city. And I can go down the list. Imam Ajeen's children all went through that school. He was one of our teachers. And I could just keep going and going and going and going. Sacrifices were made. Other people in the world are recognizing the benefit of what we had and still have. But do we recognize it? Do we see the beauty, the strength of what we had and have? I don't think so. And I can say that based on what I'm seeing going on right now with education in our community. The Polish community, I said this before, it is so important to them that they maintain their culture and that their children recognize the importance of being a part of that community, that they have Polish school, every week. Their children will go to other schools throughout the day, but they reel them back in. Whoa, 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 don't bring that here. Some of the stuff Sister Jamila was saying that our children are exposed to, they wash that stuff off of their children's minds by making sure they have the right foundation before they step out, and cleanse them when they come back. So whether or not they can have their own full-fledged 5 days a week, 9 to 3 program or not, they make sure their children are protected. I agree. We have additional families that are starting to come in. We opened up the doors. We made it public when we were speaking the first time. We had our semester break, and now that we're back open, yes, there are new children coming in regularly and staying with us for the most part, because people are recognizing the importance of this. But we need more. And inshallah, Allah is going to bless us with more. Now I'm reflecting back on Sister Jamila's words that she gave to us at the beginning. And it's not just about this idea of homeschooling. This is the idea of educating our children. Because when we had the University of Islam here in Chicago, and those Claire Mohammed schools that are open now and continuing to flourish, that is a system that started in a home, but it is not homeschooling from that definition. It's an educational program that is solid, that is based on the teachings of Alhamdulillah, Rasulullah, and the teachings that he has given us through his hadith. It is based on the teachings from our leader, Imam Deen Mohammed, and the foundation that he has helped us to have so that we better understand our whole deen. And more importantly, is based on the guidance given to us by Allah through our Quran. So we're homeschooling to the point that we are protecting and we are making sure, just like you do in your home, that we control what's coming in and what's going out. We control any negatives that are coming in, and when you step out, you represent the best. And all that goes back to our scripture, and we know that. And I know I'm talking to the choir right now, but I'm trying to nudge the choir. So as we sing, and as we do what we do, as Sister Camila said, that we show the best posture possible, that we show the best behavior, the best words, the best sounds, everything comes out of our mouth in an excellent way. Because if we don't polish up what we've been given, we're going to continue to lose them. And we are losing them. Sister Jamila mentioned the mentoring she was doing and the stories that the children are telling. I'm getting constant emails at my day job. So-and-so is no longer known as whatever. And the pronoun that I need to use when I address them is they. Don't say he, don't say she, say they. Legal actions have been started to get the name officially changed. There's counseling. There's medical changes that are going on. These children are children. They're making lifelong decisions, and it's being backed by their homes. And I'm looking at the children who are not part of this, and I'm like, should they be exposed to this? Had a very difficult decision to make. Taking my students out of town on a field trip for a competition, and I only had 2 room options, male, female. And this child didn't want to be in the one room, which is what their birth dictated they were. And by law, I couldn't force them to be there. So how do I put them in the other room with these youngsters who have no knowledge about this, are still naive? And I have to put this child, and my principal told me by law. And I'm thinking ethically and morally, I can't do this to these children. I don't want to make that kind of choice. But the system is broken. More so than it's ever been before. It was broken when I was going to the University of Islam. It was broken when I taught for the Claire Mohammed School for over 15 years. And it is still broken. So, we need to do something more than what we have been doing. Sister Jamila's words about sharing, about extending our families, about being great role models. Yes, we need to do that and more. Sister Esther's words, Sister Camila's words, Brother Akbar's words about what's going on in our program that we have here. Yes, and we are affecting children in a positive way. One of the young men who, if you see him at any other time other than when he's shining, and I'll tell you when he shines in a minute, you would think this is no, this is one of those thugs off the street. This is one of those people I try to keep my children away from. I don't want to be bothered with this person. This is the person as you're walking down the street, you clench your bag and pull it tight if you're a sister. You touch your pocket to make sure your wallet's in place if you're a brother. This young man, with all the stuff he puts out there, is as innocent as he can be on the inside. And whenever we ask him to do something, when we ask him to be a leader, this young man steps up. He winds up being our MC. He winds up being a model for what we are doing that is positive, but he makes us work hard to get there. And the sisters who work with him know that, and the brothers. He makes us work hard, but we are making a difference in this young man's life. And if we save one, alhamdulillah, but we are doing better than that, alhamdulillah. We're saving more than one. And so are all of the others who dedicated their time and their efforts to make sure that our future is together. But we need more. And I'm speaking now to those of you in the audience. We need more. The mentoring program, alhamdulillah, is kicked off very strongly. The bus to get them to New Jersey, to Newark. The other fundraising efforts that we're having, we need more. You cannot educate your children well if you don't put your money where your mouth is. When we go to competition with my day job, we rank real well as far as the system I work for. As a matter of fact, we are acing many of the other schools. We are acing all of them in our district in certain areas, and in other areas we are acing majority of them. That's great. Those schools that we're competing with, they put their money where their mouth is. They pay the tax dollars so that they will have the money to be able to put towards education. We know Chicago's system. We know this. No, we're broke. So we can't rely on that. Imam Deen Mohammed one time was talking about tuition for the Sister Claire Muhammad schools. He said, make it affordable, but don't make it free. Because people, if they know they have to pay for something, they'll put more effort into it. We're not charging these families. We're not charging these families. But the money is real. The need is real. Each person that comes out is volunteering. Each person that comes out finds a creative way to find the resources to be able to provide. And we're not giving them substandard stuff. We're not. We're giving them the quality that they deserve. Because they would check us on that if we were. They would so check us. Because they're not sleeping. They know they deserve better. And they know what this religion stands for. Excellence, straight across the board. It's one of our key components of our religion. So, if we support, not just with our mouths, but also where it hurts, in our pockets, inshallah, we will be able to see even more coming from what we're doing right now. Now, Brother Akbar mentioned the Microsoft Suite, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. They need devices to be able to learn and do those things. With the technology we're teaching them introductory coding. Some of them are doing what we call block coding. Some are able soon, inshallah, to go actually into the actual coding that's behind the block. Block coding is a geometric piece that you move around and you manipulate some variables, and then it causes you to get an output. Soon they'll be able to go behind the geometric shape and control that part. A couple of them will be ready inshallah, sooner than later, sooner than others. The devices cost. We're using antiquated, refurbished devices that sometimes work and sometimes they do not. And the children are frustrated. Again, they know they deserve more. With all the stuff that we're doing, if we were able to get them beyond these physical walls, we'd be able to do even more. There's free programs out there. There's programs that cost a subscription fee. The free programs, things such as Google, we can be intertwining and interneting with others all around. Competitions that are out there, we could have them enter into different fairs, different competitions, or we could do them ourselves. We can start them. Why do we have to subject our students to what's already there? We already have a superior level of, and I'm not saying superior as far as big-headedness, but others are recognizing the superior quality of our educational background. We could be establishing our own competitions and use the internet as a means for getting people to be a part of it. We need the devices to be able to do that. And again, we need the support for that. TED Talks, it's the latest buzz right now. TED Talks. So what's a TED Talk? Oh, you get up and you talk. Our children can talk. They do pretty good at that. However, structuring it, putting it together with the graphics and the PowerPoint piece allows them to be able to know how to do presentations. We have the audiovisual equipment accessible to us. We have a facility that allows us to do that. We could have our own YouTube channel where they're teaching others, they're learning from each other. One way of really making sure you know something is to teach it. Is to teach it. We can sit down and let them help us. Not sit, but back up a little bit. Again, those leadership skills stepping forward. So there's a whole lot of things we could do. Again, we need the support. Now just to give you an example, and this might seem like small to you all, but this is just a small example. When I was here last time, I talked about the idea that we were looking to assess every single child to get an idea of where they were, what their strengths were, what their weaknesses were, so we can make sure that we are homing in and giving them the stuff that they need. So we reached out, and I went to this one source because I already done some research on other areas, and I know how much testing equipment cost. So we reached out to this one location, and they said, yeah, sure, we'll do it. And they gave us a fee, and it's a very, 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 very affordable fee. But considering that we are volunteering, and that we're not charging tuition, because we want to make sure that money's not the reason why children are not being educated, we're trying to decide, what do we do? Do we do this? Do we do that? And one of the questions we had was, do we buy technology? Or do we do this? How do we make sure that we give them the best? We should not have to be making these decisions. We need the support so we can make sure that we get what they need. Now, Imam Mohammed gave us the platform. He gave us the model. He said that the businesses should be supporting the educational piece. That's what he said to us. He said the businesses should be supporting the educational piece. Now, there's one layer of support that helps to sustain the businesses, and that's when we, as business people, mentor our youth so that they can come behind us and do a better job. So that's one, and that's happening, alhamdulillah. That's happening. But we also need investments. Not just straight up donations, but investments that we can use. So the businesses are benefiting, the students are benefiting, the community is benefiting, and we have that cyclic process continuing to happen. So I'm asking, I know we've got the credit program is coming up soon, the Yeah, and we have the circle that's going on right now. But I'm saying if we could put some piece in there for education, inshallah, we should be able to help with this situation even more. The children are making projects. The Islamic art that they've done, that's them giving to their own education. In our science technology class, they are starting the design of a structure that they are going to, inshallah, build. And that structure that they're building will eventually be, inshallah, a moneymaker for them. I told them, I said, I don't want you to just come up with something that's cute. Come up with something that people could benefit from. Who knows, you might be able to sell it. You might be able to make some money off of this. We can make some money. I said, yes, you can make some money off of this. Well, I want to build. I want to build. And now all of a sudden these houses start to come out. I want to do a bird house, a dog house, a house, and they can. There's no reason why. It's a couple of angles, 90-degree angles, 30-degree angles, some nails, some glue, and they got it. But they have to conceive it and believe that they can do this. And there's materials that are needed to be able to make sure that this works. So, inshallah, this is where we're headed. So I pray Allah that something that any of us has said today has been beneficial for you all, so you can see, number one, what we're doing, and number two, what the potential is for where we can go with this. And this is not just a Chicago thing. We know that there are weekend programs going on across the United States of America. We know that there are full-time schools that are operating throughout the city, throughout the United States of America, and outside. There's one in Bermuda. They all have the same issues. They all have the same issues.
If you want to make a comment.
Yes. Okay.
No.
Can I take his turn?
Okay.
I would like to, not now, but at the convenience of the school program, weekend school program, know if it's at all possible to sponsor. If we can figure out, I know everything's being put together now. If we can, because I can sponsor a child short-term or long.
Sister Esther, did you want to?
Yes, sir. I don't see why that would be a problem. We would just have to figure out the logistics of it.
A lot willing. I plan on doing better in my business. Maybe I'll take two later, maybe another.
Yes, sir.
And I would like to encourage anyone else that once you all come up with a figure of what it actually costs to have a child sponsored, you never know.
Yes, sir.
And I'm open. Also, I still have that invitation to my garden.
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay.
We plan to bring them out to see the garden.
And after I consult with my wife, may even, I don't know how many children you may even want to have a Sunday school at our house one weekend.
That would be nice.
Because
That would be nice.
we're busy, because a lot of people don't realize my wife has a full-time job and she has a lot of responsibilities. So on the weekend, when they let her go, I take over, and then we're both very, very busy. So it would be, I think it'd be a great pleasure for us to maybe order some takeout, some food, and feed the children, give them some treats. And I like to think, I set it up for my own personal family, but I think my home is a very educational environment, just overall.
Well, that would be excellent. Inshallah, we'll look forward to that.
Yeah, and the summer is here, so it'd be a great pleasure.
Yes, sir.
So play some games and learn about gardening.
Yes, sir.
I got to do a portion with my wife, because she's part of the weekend school too.
Right.
She-
David,
So I was telling him privately that any materials and things like that
I was
that
gonna-
you need in specifics.
I was going to talk to you.
let me know
Yeah.
what that is. I'll
Right.
make sure that you get that, and any tools
Okay.
specific.
All right.
And we'll do it in increments.
Okay. Okay.
We'll
I will
increment
talk to
that.
both of you before, inshallah, before you leave today. I do want to.
Missions also.
I do want to, say one more point. I mentioned the New Medina school system several times, and that system is still available, and inshallah, we're going to be doing more with that soon. Another thing that we're doing, and I'm going to be working with some of the parents who are homeschooling in the Chicagoland area, we're going to be teaching, I will be teaching a class, working with the other parents on Friday afternoons or Saturdays after Juma, and on Saturdays, depending on how many students we have interested, a class on critical thinking and problem solving. Um, conflict resolution, all wrapped up into one. Our children have challenges that they face. Whether we are homeschooling them, they still have to, their thinking and their minds are moving, and they still have to deal with things that we may not actually have that much control over. And if we're not homeschooling them, same thing, it's even worse. How do you know how to make the right choices? How do you use your dean to help you make the right choices? And this is part of what this class is going to cover. We're going to focus in on some of the struggles that our children have in the inner city, living in the city of Chicago with violence, gang violence, and other things. Some of our children have run into it face to face. Even though my parents raised us in a Muslim home, and we went to the Claire Mohammed School, University of Islam, then Claire Mohammed School for a majority of our lives. For some of us, it was all of our schooling, but some, the school closed, and my mother had no choice but to put them in a neighborhood school. But to be able to walk down the street and then be encountered by someone who's initiating you to be in a gang, that was something that we never thought about, but we faced it. And I remember how the family rallied together to protect the sibling who was being accosted by these individuals. But it was also an issue with how do you make choices like that when you are out there and you've been sheltered, pretty much sheltered from that. How do you make those kind of choices? So this course that we're going to be teaching is conflict resolution, with the understanding that there's some critical thinking that has to be done and some problem solving that has to be done, and using our dean as a tool for doing that. We're opening it up to not just the students who are part of the homeschooling program, but if any of you have children or grandchildren and you'd like for them to be a part of this, we're looking for, I'm trying to focus on one age group to start with, and if we have more, then we'll extend it maybe to a different time. But the initial age group that we're looking at is that middle schooler, is that person who's like 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, high school. We're going to start with them, and if we have enough interested in younger children, then we will do that. Because what the middle schoolers and up have to deal with is a lot different than what the younger ones have to deal with. And this is also part of the, my husband and I, we mentioned that we had been to Seoul, Korea, and that we were, doing these interfaith meetings. This is a part of our visit there also. They have an educational program. It's good, but we have more to offer. So we're going to be adding on to some of the basics that they have, and we're going to be building and bringing our own dean into this, and it's going to be a lot more solid than the one that they're trying to do. So we're going to talk about some global issues, but we're going to start home and then go out and then come back to the individuals themselves and what they can do to be a part of this. So inshallah, we're making some junior ambassadors that will be able to share this information with their friends and their families when they come in contact with them in their future lives. And then we're also going to have our program too, the Stream Labs will be running a summer camp, which will be doing a lot more than what we're doing on the weekends. We'll be extending this to a much broader series of topics and stuff over the summer. So had to do my commercial. So may Allah bless all of us. And
I heard something on WNP. I was turning the station. I'm not sure who was speaking, but they were speaking on the behalf of Chicago Public Schools about re-education. It sounds like a big thing they're doing, educating the teachers about how to discipline children or how to approach discipline. And to me, it sounded really interesting. It almost reminded me of Claire Mohammed School when they transitioned from the University of Islam, how Imam Mohammed came in and he took away corporal punishment and all these things. And this woman was really deep about it. I wish I could remember which week it was, which day of the week it was, because if it was something I would get a copy of it, and I would love for you to hear her speak, because it sounded like something radical was going on.
They're recognizing that they're missing the social development of the child. They're dealing with the academics, and more they're recognizing that they're not dealing with the whole child. And we've known as our community that you have to look at our role as entities, as individuals, as well as part of the collective. And you can't do that if you're only looking at, let's learn this math lesson or this reading lesson. So our way of teaching in our community has always been a holistic approach, where there was more divided and, no, don't touch this, you don't touch science, because you're an English teacher. You can't do this because you're a science teacher. And so now they're recognizing the holistic nature of
They were specifically talking about discipline.
they're recognizing that discipline is way out of control, and the killings of children in the schools, the people coming in schools with guns. My job, we were one of the schools where they shut the school down early, brought in the first responders, and had a 5 or 6 hour training session for the first responders on what to do if a Chicago school was threatened. At my job, the principal was moving through the school extremely fast, telling the children and the teachers to go and get into a safe spot because she had gotten word that there was a threat that someone was going to come through our school with an automatic. They were really targeting the police station that's next to us, but because we're across the street, they closed our school down. This is not a school that's in a gang-ridden community. This is not a school that's that's in the inner city. There are properties across the street from us that sold for over $1 million. This is a high-income neighborhood just west of downtown Chicago. Still part of the West, they call it West Loop. We have all kind of security. We're across the street from the police academy. And we're still dealing with the same stuff. And a lot of it is dealing with the social and emotional needs of the children. And they're recognizing that these behavior issues that they're seeing, that these things that they're seeing as adults are graduating from these schools and going off and doing these horrific things, they're recognizing we missed something. We've been doing that stuff all along. They're recognizing that they've missed it. There's been so many issues that I am missing students off my roster on a regular basis because they're hospitalized for months at a time, and not from physical disabilities or in problems. There's so many issues our children are dealing with because we're not looking at this from a holistic standpoint. We are needed. We are needed, and we don't recognize the beauty of what we have.
That's right.
So others are taking what we've done and they're running with it,
Yes.
and we're still not recognizing what we have.
Right.
So there are some of us who are not going to just lie down and let this happen to us, and that's why we volunteer and do what we do. But there's still a need for more. And I want to give credit to, not to say that I'm recognizing this individual, but I want to make a statement. Not only do we, on the weekends, work with our youth, there's an Arabic class on the weekends here at this location. And I am extremely thankful to our teacher for the time and energy that he takes out every Sunday except for first Sunday. This brother is here, and he stays, and he provides us, and if we need to be retaught 100 times, he will reteach us 100 times, because his goal is to make sure that his students know. He's not getting a dime from us. I feel guilty. I paid thousands of dollars for a course, and this brother is giving us, through Imam Mohammed's teachings, he's giving us quality education that is no short of the education that we're getting, that we're paying thousands of dollars for.
That's right.
And all he gets from us is a cup of coffee sometimes and a donut. And I just want to say to Imam Elam, thank you for being an excellent teacher and an excellent supporter of education. He's patient with our youth. He gives them words of encouragement from time to time. And I'm not saying this because he needs me to be, he's not vain or anything where he needs me to recognize it. But when you have people doing good work, they become a model for other people. And this is one example of a great model of excellence that is dedicating himself to helping to make sure that we as adults, as well as the youth that we teach, and from time to time he interacts with the youth, that we're getting the best and giving the best that we can give. And I want to thank the Mosque Cares for making the building available. They have yet to ask us for any money for electricity and anything else. They're making sure that it's available to us and that it's comfortable and usable and whatnot. Because space is a huge part of what educators have to deal with when you're initiating things. So we want to thank the Mosque Cares for the support also. Assalamu alaikum.